This hour is brought to you by Legacy Group Capital's Northwest Fund.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now.
The Seahawks have 4 picks on day 2 of the NFL draft, beginning with pick 50, so I know everyone has their eyes on a top receiver, a top corner, defensive players that have been sliding. Unless they're going to trade up, those ones aren't going to fall to Seattle, but still some really interesting names. Before we dive in at 2:30, Curtis Rogers, into what we want to see the Seahawks do and the kind of guys we want to see them add, let's talk about what they've already done. Grey Zabel, offensive lineman, guard at that, in round 1, pick 18 overall for the Seattle Seahawks. I know that you felt like this was walking the walk for Seattle and John Schneider.
It was, and I think the most surprising thing about it was the way Schneider talked about drafting offensive line in the weeks leading up to it with Wyman and Bob, and also in their pre-draft press conference, calling it a lazy narrative that, they haven't address the offensive line in the ways that they want to. But then the very first pick is them going offensive line. And maybe that's the way of Schneider kind of toying with us and being like, you fools.
Do you think he likes to do that?
Oh, I
do.
So.
I would too as a GM.
Every GM.
I'd be a sicko.
Yeah,
I'd be out here. Honestly, I hate cornerbacks.
You'd
take
read some tweet from a guy that has 32 followers.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, you think I don't do this? Well, this one goes out to you,
Googling my own name.
Steve 789-324.
You'd call him out in the press conference. I have a list of people, all of them I found on Reddit, that I would like to shout out right now.
Exactly. But, no, I think the Seahawks going offensive line, the most stunning thing is that it is them addressing their biggest need.
I agree with you. And just like you, I heard John Schneider's comments, and I read it as a bit defensive. And here's the thing. I don't think that John Schneider is wholly wrong. John Schneider knows more about football than anyone in this building. His job is to do that. And he's also been at the helm of a Super Bowl team. Granted, it's him and Pete Carroll in here, but not every GM can say that, right? And so I think what we saw was an offensive line that for the entirety of his tenure, but certainly over the last many years, was incredibly frustrating to watch. And you saw a lot of attempts to fix it that didn't pay off. There were some that were good that were under the radar that didn't pay off because there wasn't enough around them. For instance, I think the Dwayne Brown trade was a great one.
Yes.
And I think he was the best offensive lineman you had when he was here. I think Charles Cross at 9 was another great pick. I know he's not a first-team All-Pro, and there are people that are going to have a problem with that, but I think that you got yourself a left tackle for many years here. I think that misses elsewhere are what's been the, oh, my God, I'm going to pull my hair out moment for the Seahawks. You combine that with play calling that at times has not made the most of it, with running backs that have been hurt. Right. It's just been a mess. And it sucks because they're a team that clearly knows who they want to be. They know what they want to be.
Yes.
But trying to become that team has been so stop and go.
It has been. And I think the desire to become this run-first team is multifaceted in that, yes, you do have to get the offensive line figured out, and I think picking Zabel here is a big step in that direction, but also you got to find out your running back situation too. And Ken Walker's a name that we have heard potentially, in trade talks. I don't know how serious they are, but it's like, what do you do with the running back spot here in Seattle? Zach Charbonnet did have that very standout performance against Arizona, and felt like kind of after that, the Seahawks got him more and more involved as the season went along. So I'm kind of wondering, like, what is sort of this walk that the offensive line and the running backs are going to be doing together this season, and who's going to be involved in that? And I think, obviously, today and then more so tomorrow, we're going to have a much clearer picture of that. I would be very interested to see, let's say the Seahawks do take another offensive lineman here in the second round, and let's say in the third round you've got a tremendously deep running back class. Like, what if they take a running back in the third round? Like, that to me is going to, more than anything, definitively state we need to get back to running the ball.
Yeah.
More so than, in those drafts back-to-back where they went Ken Walker in the second round and Zach Charbonnet in the second round. it didn't come with the additions on the offensive line.
Well, and with a conversation that makes sense, I'm glad you mentioned that Arizona game, right? I was at an event yesterday, and Lofa Tatupu was asked about the offensive line, and I think the question might have been about Ken Walker and, what they do with the running back room. And he was like, I'm paraphrasing. He said, I don't mean this disrespectfully towards Zach Charbonnet in any way. But Ken Walker could have done that too and had that game too. That game in particular was almost like a solo highlight reel for the Seahawks offensive line. Like there was no other game where they played as well as they did there. And Bumps talked about this a million times. Right. And instead on what they were doing, they did a weird kind of regression. They didn't continue to build on those concepts. You didn't see some of those concepts again. And it was weird. It was like Ryan Grubb followed up one of his best games play calling with just not showing up at all. It was so, and I wish I understood why, and that's above my pay grade. But I think that it led to what was the wrong conversation, which is it Charbonnet? Is it Walker? Who should be starting? And the conversation instead could have been and should have been, look what happens when an offensive line does its job. Look what happens when a coaching staff really leans into what they do well. And look what happens when both of those things work together to just out-scheme another team. You don't need to be the very best offensive line in football to be able to play better football. And then we just lost that conversation because personally, I believe that it's just harder to evaluate the offensive line. I've been a reporter since 2014. I could not tell you. It's not because I don't know anything. I've never played.
Right.
I've never played. We talked about this with Ray Roberts. I was like, I think some people don't stay in their lane when it comes to evaluating the offensive line and low-key don't know what they're talking about. I stay in my lane and admit that I don't know what I'm talking about. But that makes it so frustrating as a viewer as well because you go, what's not hitting? What's not working? To that point, Curtis, one thing that was not done by the team is drafting interior linemen high. We played that clip over and over of John Schneider saying guards are overpaid and overdrafted. And I think both you and I thought maybe at 18, but certainly not higher than that would they ever draft a guard.
Right. And one thing that we also heard this offseason, and it came from our 1 p.m. guest, and it wasn't in that segment, but it was a few months ago. I think Ray was on, maybe with us, maybe with Wyman and Bob, but he said if the Seahawks want to get out of this kind of rut that they've been in, they've got to do something differently with their draft strategy than they've been doing in years past. And he was like, maybe that is taking a guard in the first round. Maybe that is taking an offensive tackle in the first round. And I think back then I heard it and I was like, yeah, I think that is a very fair assessment of where the Seahawks have been, just kind of doing the same thing over and over again in the draft where maybe at times getting a little too cute in the players that you do take and maybe trying to outsmart the room. And that way when the sensible pick, the socks and underwear pick, is the one that you should be making. And it's not like that this is the one-year thing meant for the 2025 Seahawks. No, this is a pick made for this year and the following years after that, because I don't think any of us right now see this Seahawks team as a legit Super Bowl contender.
No.
I think the right moves that can be made over the next offseason and the offseason after that can put the Seahawks back at least in the playoff contender conversation. And who knows, maybe you find some stars here or there that puts you in that. But I think you've got to make these kinds of moves if you want to get back to contention, at least in your division. I mean, you did finish percentage points behind the Rams this year, but I think you stack up those rosters right now. Most people are going to pick the Rams over the Seahawks.
Well, and I genuinely had concern that they wouldn't make that pick when we were listening to John Schneider say, hey, again, he didn't say this verbatim, but he was asked, hey, what do you make of critiques that you have an evaluation problem? And he was like, we're drafting good players. Like, we have drafted the third most players of any team in the last 10 years, and we have, like, the second or third most players that get other contracts when they leave us. So we know we're drafting talented players, that those players are getting in the building. Maybe I'll admit that, like, we could do better with development. We need to reflect and figure out where coaching comes into play. I think that's true. But I also had lingering questions about, I don't know. I mean, maybe you're okay with finding, decent dudes or potential starters late, but like, can you say that you've tried everything, or can you say that you're really, like, you're telling me that in in 10, 11, 12 years, you never, ever in the first round saw a guard that you really liked. And the general draft philosophy of valuing guards a little bit later isn't unique. Like,
Right.
I think most GMs would agree with that. But it is hard to watch the same problems repeat themselves and to not wonder if he's questioning evaluation, or rather than evaluation, action.
Right.
The action they're willing to take, the overspend they're willing to commit.
So
I applaud them for that. I think it's a cool move.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think one thing too that is a little different that they're doing now than they've done in years past, and this is the second straight draft, is they have not really addressed much outside of the trenches, or really outside of
You mean with
the
going
box, really.
Murphy, Haynes, and
Yeah, it's been, everything's kind of been up front. I mean, you did take the two corners last year, Pritchett and DJ James, but I don't think they took a wide receiver at all last year. Didn't take a running back, didn't take a quarterback, didn't do any of that. You took a linebacker in Tyrese Knight last year, and then this is kind of a continuation of that with Grey Zabel. I kind of wonder if maybe they'll continue to follow that trend today and into tomorrow. But I don't know if that's going to be maybe the best thing, because I kind of look at just everywhere else on the roster right now, Stacy, and I do think maybe those outside spots could stand to use some reinforcement. Wide receiver, corner, safety as well.
Wide receiver for sure, man. Like I was excited about the Cooper Kupp signing. I think there's a coolness to the story, right, of a local guy, local to Washington State, not Seattle, coming back to Seattle. And I think it's cool having seen spectacular play for him with the Rams, particularly in 2021. I'm surprised at how many people I've spoken with that as just fans, right? Not like other reporters, but that are like, oh, well, and we got Cooper Kupp. And I'm like, I don't know, man. If Cooper Kupp has 600 yards, I think that's going to be a fantastic season. Yeah. I have a massive question mark at wide receiver, and I have a massive, massive question mark at receiver in 2026.
Yeah, so, I think.
I agree. Boy,
I am just, I'm done talking. I want the second round to get underway, because are you drafted out?
No,
I'm not drafted out. I want more draft. That's what it is. I want to see just what this team does today, because I think there is going to be plenty of opportunity to add in those spots that we have all kind of pinpointed as areas of need. And I want to see what they do. I want to see, like, do they go out and get a wide receiver when there's a pretty good group to pick from? I want to see, do they go defensive line?
You just want to see more Arizona Wildcats drafted.
Jonas Savanea.
I think he's
a day two prospect.
He's already been mocked to Seattle.
Yes.
Mel Kiper Jr. mocked him at 50.
I'd love to see it.
The Seattle Mariners are back at T-Mobile Park starting tonight, kicking off a 5-game homestand with matchups against the Marlins and Angels. Action isn't just on the field. This homestand brings exciting giveaways, including the City Connect captain's hats and Moose shoulder plush, plus 2 special Mariners value games where you can score great deals. Don't miss a moment of the action. Grab your tickets now at mariners.com/tickets. Let's get to 4-down territory.
This is 4-down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down, Brady. John Schneider said Grey Zabel was their top interior lineman. Do you believe him?
Yeah, I do. I don't think that's something that teams embellish. The guy either is or isn't. It's clearly written on a board there. I don't think any team would lie about that.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when you see teams embellish, it's when it's other things like, gosh, I can't think of a great example, but, maybe, how surprised they may or may not have been that the guy was still there.
That's actually a perfect example.
We would have traded for that guy.
Yeah. Things, sort of hypothetical situations. Yeah.
What was it Schneider said after Rashad Penny got drafted?
He said that was true.
Somebody wanted to trade.
That was true.
That was true.
Yeah, that
and
was Detroit.
Not to brag, but I asked that question, and he said, good question.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That was a good question.
That was like the first time I asked a question at a draft thing, and I was like, I did it.
No, that was true, and that was Detroit, from what I understand. They called and offered. Yeah. So, yeah, I totally buy that he was their interior guy, top interior rated guy.
Second down. Okay, John Schneider also said, this was at the pre-draft press conference, that he would address Charles Cross's 5th-year option, ... at a later date. Didn't want to spill too much ahead of the draft. Well, Brady, we have 6 days until that deadline. So Do you think it actually gets picked up?
I do, yeah. I don't see a whole lot of reason for them to not pick it up. I think it's going to cost, according to the projection from Over the Cap, it's like $17 million. I think the concern sometimes when you pick up a guy's option or when you're deciding whether or not to do that is the option, whatever that price is, in some ways that kind of becomes the floor for like per year average in a deal, because you're saying, okay, if you're going to pick up that option, you're saying that guy is worth at least this much per year. Charles Cross, on whatever deal he gets, is going to make way more than $17 million per year. So that's not going to be any sort of concern for them. $17 million, if he ends up playing on that, that's a major bargain. I think all it does is it really buys you more time, buys you another year of club control. So I don't really see any reason not to pick up that option.
Can I throw in a sneaky, like, 2B question?
Sure.
One critique that I've seen before, and really I don't see Charles Cross critiqued often on our text line, but I do see some people say, God, he's a number 9 overall pick, and they're so desperate for the return of some elite talent that one critique I've seen is, well, he's not a Pro Bowler, and he's not getting all pros. What have you made of Cross's tenure in Seattle? Do you think it's like an A pick, good time?
Yeah, I think last year, I think he started to play more like the 9th overall pick. I thought his first, couple years, he was fine, good, but I think you saw him take kind of a little bit of a next step last year. We've heard just how much he applies himself, how much it matters to him, how seriously he takes it. And I think we've also heard John Schneider talk about, maybe looking back with a little bit of regret in retrospect about some of the offensive linemen that they've let walk out the door.
Yeah.
And I imagine he's talking about, maybe like guys like James Carpenter, Brendan Giacomini. Max Unger was a different case because they included him in the Jimmy Graham trade and they thought he was breaking down. He ended up being way more durable than they expected. But, other guys, that they didn't end up re-signing. Damian Lewis is one. When the Panthers signed Damian Lewis for whatever that was, $14 million a year, my jaw dropped because I thought, in what world is he worth that kind of money? And then you saw the market for guards explode, and you saw Damian Lewis have a pretty good season with Carolina. So that deal all of a sudden looks a lot better than it did initially. And the bottom line here, the point I'm making is that there's whether or not Charles Cross is a Pro Bowler, there's no way you draft that guy 9th overall and end up letting him leave. So they're going to get a deal done.
Third down. You've been Zabeled out. Brady, as a reporter, you covered the draft pick itself. You listened to Zabel's post-draft press conference call. You sat through an interview last night with John and Mike. Then you heard from Zabel this morning on Brock and Salk. Anything sticking with you from all that Zabel talk? I'd say collectively you've had like 2 hours of Zabel information.
Yeah, I mean, he just seems like the kind of guy you want to just drink a beer with, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, he was probably drinking beers during that conference call. So
yeah, I mean, he just seems like, and again, I think there's a danger in, like, good or bad, reading too much into somebody from a 5-10 minute conversation you have. I always try to not do that, but just based on what little information that we have on him right now, he just seems like a really solid human being, down to earth. We heard from Jeff that he turned down, I mean, that was a lot more money than I thought. We heard 6 figures. I didn't realize it was like over $500,000.
More closer to 7
Yeah,
figures. Closer
to 7 figures than 6 figures. I mean, that is remarkable. And again, he's probably making some decent money to stay at North Dakota State, but that's a lot of money that he turned down. And I think that speaks to just loyalty and being grounded and
so
certain, what's important to you.
To add on to that, in Jeff's column, and this is why I should have asked a clarifying question. In Jeff's column, there were Power 5 teams, 6-figure deals, multiple 6-figure offers, and then he says there was one that had it over 6 figures. So I'm wondering if that means like over 6 figures.
Closer to $1 million?
No, like actually
Sounds
one
like would be over $1 million.
like it would be $1 million something.
Yeah.
Like a $1.1 million NIL deal
wild.
to go somewhere. I'm like, that's how I read it, as reports had it a deal over 6 figures. That's, I mean,
yeah.
And that has to be a Power 5 school.
Yeah,
Right,
of course.
yeah.
All right, 4th down. If, you know where this is going, if Shedeur Sanders somehow falls to 50, the Seahawks' first pick of day 2, Brady, Should the Seahawks pull the trigger?
I can't see that happening, and it's to say nothing of like the kind of player he is, the talent. I'm just saying I can't imagine it because I cannot imagine John Schneider wanting to deal with the drama that comes with Shedeur Sanders. And this is a guy who had to deal with Russell Wilson and the agent Mark Rogers. Not to say that either one of those parties was at fault for that, but that was a headache that he had to deal with for a long time. And I think Geno Smith, in kind of a different way, again, to say nothing about the kind of player he was, I think Geno was kind of a high maintenance guy in maybe in different ways, but that was drama that he had to deal with. I think part of the appeal in Sam Darnold is that Sam Darnold is just a low maintenance, down-to-earth guy known as being a great teammate, and you're not going to have to deal with the headaches. And I think Drew Lock kind of the same way, and maybe part of the appeal with Sam Howell a year ago as well. I just don't get the sense that there is a whole lot of appetite right now for this organization to deal with headaches and drama. And I think that if you draft Shedeur Sanders, I think that's
coming your way.
Drama
It's kind of like
happen.
the old trope, you never want your backup quarterback to be more popular than your starter.
He'd certainly get more attention. What is the number one trait? I'm not talking about fast, hits hard, anything like that. The number one characteristic that you want a new Seahawks draftee to have, that's coming your way next.
The first round's in the books.
The Seattle Seahawks select Grey Zabel.
I'd ask Brock how he feels, but I think the world is aware. This guy is your starting guard.
Today, live second and third round coverage starting at 4. Draft coverage continues on YouTube and the app at 5:30 when the Red Hot Mariners return home for the first of 3 against the Marlins on 7:10. The app lets you listen to both. Yes! Only on Seattle Sports.
Can you take the power of your home internet almost anywhere? Well, with Xfinity, you can. Do more of what you love in the places you go the most with internet and mobile together. Xfinity built a network that's 99.99% reliable. Plus, Xfinity Mobile, well, they have Wi-Fi power boost, giving you ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and out on the go. So get the same reliable network in the places you need it the most. Maybe the coffee shop, the grocery store, or at the game. Whatever you're into, you'll love how fast you can do it with Xfinity, internet, and mobile. And now through April 21st, get 300 megabit Xfinity internet and one unlimited mobile line together for $25 a month for a year with no contract. And save $1,000 in your first year over Verizon and AT&T Plus. Ask how to get a free premium 5G phone. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with store bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon 5G, Internet Plus One Unlimited Welcome Line, and AT&T Internet 300 Plus One Unlimited Starter SL Line. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-371-0505. 800-371-0505.
Now is your time to get into a new D.R. Horton home by taking advantage of their National Red Tag Sales Event, now extended through April 27th. Stop by any of their participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. So whether you're buying your first home or looking for an upgrade, you don't want to miss the Red Tag Sales Event, extended through April 27th. Discover the D.R. Horton difference at drhorton.com. drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder and equal housing opportunity builder.
This summer, make sure your roof is ready for the season ahead with a company you can trust, like 3 Tree Roofing. We're not just your roofers, we're your neighbors, and we're here to help you protect your home this season. Visit 3treeroofing.com to schedule your free on-site estimate and get your roof replaced before the summer rush and potential material price increases. Our certified technicians make your roof replacement easy and worry-free, so you can focus on the important things this summer. Visit 3treeroofing.com to schedule your free, no-pressure estimate. 3Tree Roofing, your Puget Sound roofing experts.
Hundreds of vehicles on the ground, 8 dealerships, 14 brands, all in one location. Visit West Hills Autoplex. We have more brands in one location than anywhere else in Washington State, import or domestic, new or pre-owned. We make finding your perfect vehicle easy, and that means a remarkable car buying experience for you. Skip the hassle with West Hills' streamlined buying experience and feel confident buying from your neighborhood family-owned dealerships. West Hills Autoplex, Auto Center Way exit, Highway 3, Bremerton.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
Washington is leading the way in car theft reduction. Car thefts dropped by 32% from 2023 to 2024 in our state, but there's still work to be done. Help keep your car safe with these simple and important tips. Don't leave your car running unattended. Park in well-lit areas. Lock up every time. Keep valuables out of sight. Use an anti-theft device like a steering wheel lock. Prevent the theft and keep you and your vehicle safe. These tips are brought to you by the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority.
The Mariners are back in action at T-Mobile Park, and you can be there for big moments all summer long with a Flex membership. Flex plans are perfect for fans who want the freedom to choose their games and seats as they go, while still enjoying all the perks of being a member, like saving 10% or more on tickets with no fees, unlocking access to exclusive pre-sales and year-round discounts, and so much more. Join the squad today at mariners.com/flex.
Cal Raleigh wins it in the 10th inning for the Mariners.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This hour is brought to you by Legacy Group Capital's Northwest Fund.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bump and Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I know there's some weird programming today. Everything's basically pushed back a little bit. So Wyman and Bob are coming your way at 3 p.m. Then they're going to be joined at 4 p.m. by Michael Bumpus and Brock Heward. And you are going to have live coverage of rounds 2 and 3 of the NFL draft. That will transfer to the website or the app or the YouTube page. Page.
A lot of the YouTube.
I know. Basically, the draft coverage is initially live for like an hour and a half and then goes to the stream. So if you want to follow that coverage, you're going to the stream. So if you have the app, watch it on there. If you don't have the app, download it because it's awesome. And then you can watch it on there, or you can go to YouTube on your tablet, whatever. And then if you are ready for the Mariners instead, you've obviously got play-by-play live at 6:40, and then pregame show starting at 5:30, and that'll be on 7:10 a.m. That's a lot to disclose, but
everybody got it?
Everyone got it? Okay, God.
Stop it. No, I'm kidding.
I know that me and Bob sound and look the same, okay? But
right.
I'm not him.
Same octave.
This isn't Wyman and Bob. We get confused for each other constantly.
I'm Dave, playing in the NFL.
Oh, I love gardening. That's the deepest. It kind of hurt. That's the deepest I can make my voice, and Dave loves gardening.
He does.
I'm a linebacker.
Sounds like he's got emphysema.
I just want to hit people. That's the best.
Do you need a lozenge?
I don't know how to make myself sound like them, but you guys don't have to wait that much longer to hear them. Less than 30 minutes. We had a great conversation with Brady Henderson before we kicked Brady out of here because he couldn't hang out with us anymore. And we were talking about the kind of players that we want to see Seattle add. And Brady said he felt like the Seahawks for a while had these really big personalities that sometimes were even tough to deal with, right? Like it's hard having, and I don't even just mean like alpha dudes. I mean like really confident, tons of ego, plus they're alpha guys. Like that's a lot of personality.
And have the production to back it up.
And have the production to back it up. And maybe, they didn't see as much of that in draft classes after. John Schneider at one point lamenting that, maybe guys weren't coming in thinking, I'm going to take Richard Sherman's job. They were coming in thinking, wow.
I got to play with Richard Sherman.
So that got us on a tangent during the break where we talked about like some traits that we'd want new players on this team to have, and I thought that we'd bring that to you guys. So we're not just going to talk about it, but obviously Mac and Jack's text line is open. So when you're answering this question, I want you to think, Dave texted.
Dave Wyman.
I have a phone.
We've moved him to tears.
All right. So what trait, pick one to make it easy on me while I'm reading through these. 866-979-3776. I want you to describe the type of Seahawk you want in this building in one word. You get one trait that you get to pick, or some kind of description. Maybe you want to say, got that dog in him. That's more than one word, but that's what I want. I want one answer. 866-979-3776. Curtis, what about you? Let's talk intangibles. The intangible, the trait that you desperately want to see more of from these rookies incoming for the Seahawks.
Well, I don't know if I can make it one word, but if I put maybe a dash in between the two words, it becomes one word. Football lover, okay? I want somebody that just lives and breathes the game. Like, I just want football to be their biggest focus and just what they get their joy from, just something that they cannot be without is football. That, to me, says a lot about what kind of player this could possibly be. I think definitely got that from Grey Zabel, just kind of listening to the conversations that he's had, whether it be with the media here at Seahawks headquarters last night or with Brock and Salk this morning. Like, he goes football, farming, and family, and not much else. And, I mean, that's the kind of guy.
He's like, I got 3 passions. That fills the cupboard. I don't need anything.
I don't need anything else.
Yeah.
I'm good here. So, yeah, that to me is.
What are you watching tonight? The playbook?
Exactly.
It's a good answer, though,
I'm reading my
Curtis.
Bible tonight. It's just more plays. Yeah.
A perfect answer, and I think you're going to have quite a bit in common with listeners. I'm going to go to the Mac and Jack's text line. You guys are sending so many good answers, and I can't stand it. Okay, someone said bald.
Hey, John Schneider has a type when it comes to defensive coordinator.
Okay.
He's never hired one with hair.
Tell me what you think of the following answers. Nasty.
Okay.
Someone else said love for football, like love for football passion. Ruthless aggression.
Okay, now you have to say it like how John Cena says it. That's a clear John Cena reference.
How does John Cena say it?
Ruthless aggression.
Ruthless aggression.
There we go. Matt, you got to cut that. You absolutely have to cut that.
This person wants to see ruthless aggression.
There we go.
That's almost my Dave Wyman voice. Relentless.
Okay.
Hungry. Someone said Cal. That's my Seahawks word, but it's because they love Cal so much. Good work ethic. Oops, I missed it. Work ethic, sound contributor. Just got that with Grey Zabel. Accountable. Instinctive. Someone said, I miss the personality and swagger the Seahawks used to have so much. Totally agree.
Yeah.
I think some guys had, like Devin Witherspoon has that. I truly think, like, if you guys could see him,
Yes.
like if you were, I know a lot of you guys do go to training camp or even like are able to make it out and check out a day, but I'm telling you, like, that's noticeable at training camp in the times that I've been able to get away from the desk and watch.
907 says devoted. That's a good one.
Quiet confidence. So honestly, here's how I feel 425. Sometimes I want a loud confidence.
Sure.
I'm as long as they can back it up, but like
both can
boast.
produce great results.
Yes.
I think 2 examples of quiet confidence, or maybe 3 examples of quiet confidence over the years. I would say Cam Chancellor, Bobby Wagner, and probably Earl Thomas as well. That's That's quiet confidence right there. That's what it can be when it's at its very best.
Yeah.
You don't want somebody to be maybe too quiet, and it's almost like a meekness in a way.
Oh, I hate that.
Right. You want them to have at least a swagger to them.
Oh my God, Curtis.
What?
Someone said, can you guys still take mean texts today? We can still do it about Wyman and Bob and Lefko, but you guys can just read them. Yes.
They're only on for an hour and a half.
They're going to, I'll tell you, you should send a
Yeah.
couple because they're going to see them when they get here.
Right.
So if nothing else, it'll give them a laugh when they get here. I might read one or two.
Sure.
Just because we know that Dave and Bob are in traffic listening, we'll just be like, here's another one about Bob. Oh, they're going to hate us. Okay. Back to the Mac and Jacks text line, 866-979-3776. Selfless. I got a couple saying hungry. I think that what I read from that, the fact that so many people are saying it too, is the idea of someone who gets here and just being drafted isn't enough. Again, I did that event yesterday, and one of the questions I asked Cliff Averill and Lofa Tatupu is like, what makes a successful player? What's the ingredient to having a longer career in the NFL? And they were like, the draft has to be a good day, but not your best day. Like, you cannot see that as the finishing line, and you can't see being in the NFL as what you're fighting for. You're fighting for knocking the dude in front of you to the ground. Like, you've got an aggression that you can't wait to perfect and sharpen. And that to them, when I'm seeing people say hungry, I'm thinking of their answers of what Lofa and Cliff were saying.
Here's
I think it's a great
one
answer.
that I think can be something that can be asked of this whole team right now. The 425 says they want a leader. Where are the leaders on this team? Who are they now? Gino's not here.
You know,
DK's not here.
What's weird on defense and on offense, they might be guys you didn't even draft.
Right.
You know? Ernest Jones.
Yeah.
Big Cat.
Williams, yeah.
Offensively, it's got to be Sam Darnold, but I don't think it is yet.
Cooper
Kupp, maybe. I mean, none of those guys were originally Seahawks, which is okay. Sometimes it happens. Dwayne Brown wasn't drafted by the Seahawks and was an amazing leader in this locker room. But I do think sometimes you need that dude that's a homegrown guy. And I don't know that they have it. Maybe it becomes Devin one day. Leadership is hard from the secondary.
Yeah.
Unless you got a group of guys. But even when the Legion of Boom was here, I would say, you know, Bobby slowly became that leader. Cam was for a while of the three of them.
Yeah.
Like Richard Sherman and them had the sway and the influence because they were so good and so prominent. But the leaders on that team sometimes weren't always from that group.
Right.
They clearly were
KJ.
leaders, but in a different way. Yeah, KJ. All right. So we're going to stick with the draft, get you guys ready. Then we're sending you to Wyman and Bob. I'm already getting mean texts for Wyman and Bob. Oh, God, I can't stand it. It's so funny. Okay, Curtis and I with you for another 15 minutes here, and then you're going to go to Wyman and Bob, and then you've got coverage of rounds 2 and 3 of the NFL draft. That's all coming your way next.
The first round's in the books.
The Seattle Seahawks select Grey Zabel.
I'd ask Brock how he feels, but I think the world is aware. This guy is your starting guard.
Today, live second and third round coverage starting at 4. Draft coverage continues on YouTube and the app at 5:30 when the Red Hot Mariners return home for the first of 3 against the Marlins on 7:10. The app lets you listen to both. Only on Seattle Sports.
Yeah, I have a ton of really memorable customers. One of my favorite customers I've ever had, he came in and had a really bad experience with several different dealerships. He just lost his husband. His husband left him with a truck, and he was like, I don't need a truck. Like, this is so impractical for me. And it was a really emotional decision for him because it was one of the last things that he had, obviously husbands. We were like, it's no problem. Like, we're going to help you. And we did the process the same way that we always do the process. And we helped him trade in his truck for a beautiful new Rogue. And that was really cool. And he bought his second car from us. And I'm sure when he needs a third car, he'll come back and buy his third car from Nissan too. Afterwards, to thank us, he sent us this beautiful basket of like candies and fruits and stuff.
Making a great day for the people around you is making a great day for yourself. The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Bull riding. The perfect fusion of strength, skill, and pure willpower. Professional bull riders aren't just athletes. They're daredevils with cowboy souls. Come experience the true modern West, where 8 seconds of glory will create a lifetime of memories. It's the PBR Tacoma at Tacoma Dome, Saturday, April 26th and Sunday, April 27th. Tickets available at Ticketmaster and PBR.com. Hold on tight. The ride of your life is about to begin.
Did you know that most people wait 6 or 7 years before they buy a new TV? That's a lot of time in front of one TV. So why not get one of the best sets for the next 7 years, like one of the top-rated Samsung, LG, or Sony models? Too expensive? What if you could get up to $1,000 trade-in for your old set? Who would do a stupid deal like this? Right now, at Video Only, you can get big bucks for your old set as a trade-in and a hot price on the new models. Don't be sorry. Check out Video Only.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it. Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/55 to learn more. With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 new lines with autopay for well-qualified customers plus taxes, fees, and $35 per line connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
You think your home is pretty cool until that summer heat hits, and suddenly your home isn't that cool. In fact, it's hot. Air conditioning from Washington Energy Services can help. Stay cool this summer with our biggest spring savings event ever. This month only. Take up to $3,500 off an energy-efficient Brine cooling system with exclusive Washington Energy rebates. Ensure your home is always the cool house with air conditioning from Washington Energy Services. Contact us today for a free estimate.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Friends of Waterfront Park is announcing the Meet Me at Waterfront Park 5K on May 31st. Kick off a season of celebrations leading up to the grand opening of Waterfront Park with this all-abilities race. Experience Seattle's reimagined waterfront and be a part of history with this first ever 5K at Waterfront Park. Presented by Brooks Running, Seattle's new Waterfront Park is being built for you. Come and enjoy it. 5K registration and full schedule of events at waterfrontparkseattle.org. Brought to you by Friends of Waterfront Park.
Goodbye, winter mud. Hello, Dream Yard. Spring is here. Synthetic Turf Northwest has you covered. No more soggy lawns or weekend yard work. Just green, clean, and ready for backyard barbecues, wiffle ball, or kicking back. Synthetic Turf Northwest, the area leader in synthetic grass, residential and commercial installs, plus turf supplies out of our Woodinville warehouse, and soon in Fife, right off I-5. Mention Seattle Sports and save up to $1,000 off your project. Visit syntheticturfnorthwest.com today.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-961-5544. 800-961-5544.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Seahawks are on the board at 50 today. They've got 4 picks across 2 rounds. Round 2 of the NFL draft starts at 4 p.m. Wyman and Bob an hour later than today, obviously, because you're hearing my voice, so they're coming your way in less than 15 minutes. Curtis, you and I will both be on air on Saturday at different times, and
we will. Ships passing in the night.
Exactly. And you will have a chance to react to the very end of the draft, or at least to what's happening, let's say, in the 6th round. However, we will not get a chance to do that together.
Right.
When we are back in on Monday, we'll be able to recap everything. But before we know the answers to the test, let's figure out what would get an A grade for the Seahawks from each of us. Curtis, what do you hope to establish over this draft? What kind of moves will make you on Monday say, I really liked what this team did?
The kind of moves that I want to see this team make over the next 48 hours, I definitely want to see wide receiver. I think that has been the one position that I have vouched for the most today. Is I want to see them draft somebody today that can help out the wide receiver room going forward, because I don't think you have done enough to replicate or to replace the production that you are losing with DK Metcalf. I think it's going to be one of those losses in terms of productivity that is going to be really, really tough to replicate, and it may even take years. But you know what you can do to help yourself out? Bring in a highly talented player at that position, somebody that is going to offer you a little more upside than Marquez Valdez-Scantling or Jake Bobo. Not to say that those guys don't have value, but I just don't think they're ready for the workload of what could potentially be, a number 1 or number 2 receiver going forward. So wide receiver to me is of the utmost importance.
Jaden Higgins is the best available name. Really doubt that Seattle gets him.
Probably
Daniel Jeremiah expects a run on wide receivers. Let's say that around 40, you start seeing a run on receivers. If you're Seattle, do you trade up? Because you're not on the board for 10 more picks, and you could very quickly see guys like Trey Harris, Luther Burden III go.
Yeah, and, I mean, maybe you get lucky in that, like a Jalen Noel from Iowa State is available to you at pick 50. But if you feel like you're not going to be able to get one of these guys that is at the top of the wide receiver class this year, then I think you're going to have to get a little uncomfortable and move up, because once you get past this wave of wide receivers, I don't think it's as great as what you're seeing right now. So that, to me, would be the thing that I absolutely need to see the Seahawks walk away from in this draft, whether it be a pick 50 or 52, or you move up in the 2nd round. Another thing that I want to see them do is address the defensive line. You got to get some youth on that side of the ball. You got to get some youth in the trenches on the defense. And I talked about it with you guys that they're not getting any younger right now on that side of the defensive line. So get some youth, get maybe an edge rusher or maybe somebody that can play defensive tackle. So wide receiver, defensive line.
I'm going to go with those would be my top 2 picks. So I'm going to go with kind of like a vibes and the type of story I want to talk about this team. Like, I have to write a recap on Saturday, and what I hope I'm writing is that the Seahawks are making it clear who they want to be. I would love an identity draft. I want a draft where you leave with some names that you've added to the trenches, a name that you've added to your defensive backfield maybe, and then obviously a running back that you add. I don't see a world where they leave this draft without drafting a running back. We've heard someone like Kansas's Devin Neal, who's the 6th best running back available right now, so this would obviously be a much later pick, mentioned on with Jordan Reed, who was on with us earlier this week previewing the draft. You've got Travion Henderson out of Ohio State, Quinton Judkins, who a couple people have mentioned as well, Caleb Johnson. Obviously, Cam is there. He's been mentioned a million times by listeners. I know they're a massive fan of his. But yeah, just I want to see a running back added, not necessarily early, but I would just love to leave feeling like I want to be able to say it was an identity draft. Now, you may get 2 points in the draft where the best player available doesn't conform to that identity, right? You're looking at guys and you're going, I know that getting a guard and a running back here kind of makes writing your story easy, Stacy. However, they're not the best available players. So one thing I'd also love to see in this class is a player where I can head into training camp and have like your pet project that you're watching, like a high upside kind of guy where you're like, that's really, I think in a lot of ways.
Your Jacob Hollister type?
Oh, no, I was thinking like a Reek Woolen where people are like, this guy is a freak athlete. We have no idea if he can play this, if he can play corner at a high level in the NFL. No clue. But he is the tallest, fastest, freakiest athlete that you have on your field. That was obvious in training camp. Like you'd look over at the corner group and you could see him, not like bigger than everyone per se, but he kind of stood out.
He's tall and
he was tall and lank and
just
super fast. And so I'd love, I know John Schneider doesn't take health risks, right? Like he doesn't love people that are going to have big health concerns, but I think he'll take projects. He'll take guys with high upside as long as it's late enough where he'll go, well, shoot, I can't get over like this guy's Senior Bowl, or I can't get over the pro day that we saw, and we want to see if we can tap into that. Those guys are kind of fun when they do work, which is rare, but when it does, it's those are fun draft calls because they're so excited to be drafted. They're always like the story, you know, like who becomes a preseason star. It's always those players. So I always like those guys coming out of this class.
If you need a cheat sheet for what the Seahawks are going to do over the final 6 rounds of this draft, just look at who performed the best at the Senior Bowl. That is a place where they have dipped into over the years a ton. I mean, heck, Grey Zabel was the practice MVP of the weekend down in Mobile. So I think they're not done, obviously, looking at what went on that weekend down in Mobile. It's always been a huge emphasis of the Seahawks offseason. So I would not be surprised to see multiple draft picks made over the next few days that have that Mobile stamp of approval, that Reese's Peanut Butter Cup logo. That's going to be next to a lot of guys' names here over the coming days, especially guys that get picked by the Seahawks. So just throwing out, little hints for everybody.
Tell me whether you agree with this one. I said I have a really hard time. Like, I cannot see them leaving the draft without taking a running back. 425 says, running back for what? Special teams? We have 3 above average. Now, I don't know that I would say Kenny Mack is above average. He's barely gotten a ton of playing time. I think it becomes a crowded room, and if you take a running back, you have too much of a good thing. Someone's going to need to go. It does complicate a situation. I say it because John Schneider has mentioned multiple times, and I don't think that's just a smokescreen. We have heard draft analysts talk about this running back class. We've heard John Schneider talk about this running back class. And I think that if they've got a guy who's there, they won't hesitate to pull the trigger. I think that there's a couple guys that they might really love.
Yeah.
Is the vibe that I'm getting. I obviously don't know.
Right. I think running back and defensive back are the 2 spots in the draft that every front office looks to come away with they need to take somebody there, because running back is the most volatile position in terms of availability. Guys are getting hurt all the time, so you need depth, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them take a running back on day 3.
All right, well, we will find out what they're doing on day 2. Again, round 2 begins today at 4 p.m. Coverage is going to be live on Seattle Sports, and then draft coverage will continue on the Seattle Sports app, the stream, and our YouTube page. And if you are staying with 710 a.m. on your radio, your car radio, whatever, then you're going to go to Mariners pregame. Wyman and Bob coming your way next.
The first round's in the books.
The Seattle Seahawks select Grey Zabel.
I'd ask Brock how he feels, but I think the world is aware. This guy is your starting guard.
Today, live second and third round coverage starting at 4. Draft coverage continues on YouTube and the app at 5:30 when the Red Hot Mariners return home for the first of 3 against the Marlins on 710. The app lets you listen to both. Yes! Only on Seattle Sports.
Now is your time to get into a new D.R. Horton home by taking advantage of their National Red Tag Sales Event, now extended through April 27th. Stop by any of their participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. So whether you're buying your first home or looking for an upgrade, you don't want to miss the Red Tag Sales Event, extended through April 27th. Discover the D.R. Horton difference at drhorton.com. drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder and equal housing opportunity builder.
Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. The best place to watch all your favorite sports. Featuring wall-to-wall viewing screens, 6 windows, and 30 kiosks. Be there at emeraldqueen.com. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
From groceries to home prices, the cost of living in Washington state keeps going up. Now, Olympia politicians are proposing the largest tax increases in state history. Don't be fooled. If taxes go up, we'll all pay even more. Washington needs lower costs, not higher taxes. Tell the politicians no by visiting www.affordablewashington.org. Paid for by the people for an affordable Washington. Top 5 contributors are Washington Alliance for a Competitive Economy, Microsoft, Madrona, T-Mobile, and Amazon.
Can you take the power of your home internet almost anywhere? Well, with Xfinity, you can. Do more of what you love in the places you go the most with internet and mobile together. Xfinity built a network that's 99.99% reliable. Plus, Xfinity Mobile, well, they have Wi-Fi power boost, giving you ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and out on the go. So get the same reliable network in the places you need it the most. Maybe the coffee shop, the grocery store, or at the game. Whatever you're into, you'll love how fast you can do it with Xfinity Internet and mobile. And now through April 21st, get 300 megabit Xfinity Internet and one unlimited mobile line together for $25 a month for a year with no contract. And save $1,000 in your first year over Verizon and AT&T Plus. Ask how to get a free premium 5G phone. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon 5G, Internet Plus One Unlimited Welcome Line, and AT&T Internet 300 Plus One Unlimited Starter SL Line. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance. And you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The Mariners are all about giving you more baseball for your buck. With Mariners Value Games, you can score seats starting at $10 on select dates all season long. Plus, be sure to check out the expanded Mariners Value Menu. Available every game and featuring 14 items, all under $5. Enjoy ballpark classics like hot dogs and nachos, new treats like Pocky Sticks and Little Bites mini muffins, and more. Go to mariners.com/value to grab your value game tickets and check out the full slate of value options at T-Mobile Park.
Hey Cougs, Michael Bumpus here, inviting all WSU alumni and friends to the Cougs First Show and Career Expo, Friday, May 9th at the Maidenbauer Center in Bellevue. For education, networking, jobs, and Cougs swag. It's free to attend and all are welcome. Register at cougsfirst.org.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Good evening and welcome to the NFL Draft.
This is Seattle's sports presentation of the NFL Draft.
Broadcasting live from Seahawks HQ at the VMAC in Renton.
Streaming on YouTube, the app, and your smart speaker.
Come on, man!
Here's your host, Bob Stelton.
Is it official draft coverage right now? It starts in an hour. I thought it was Wyman and Bob and then draft coverage, but I guess it's
yeah. And it sounds like they just said, "Here's Bob Stelton." So
I can leave.
I
right?
guess you can go, and I'll just stand here and talk to the wall. It'll be good.
You know what we can do is do imitations of C. Raj, and